Hey all, welcome to Challenge Accepted, the podcast where we challenge each other to a new movie or TV show every week. I am Frank, and I'm joined by Thomas.
Aloha, everybody. And today we're talking about Superman. Superman, Superman, Superman. Yeah, James Gunn's movie is finally here.
Yes.
Initial thoughts, Frank. Where are we at with it?
I'm gonna say something, and this might be so out of pocket. This feels like the most comic book movie I've ever seen.
Wow. I have heard that. Yeah. I'm thinking of when people say that though, what was the one it's like it's all black and white and it's shaded. It looks like the Frank Miller comic. Sin City. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
I feel like, yeah, but I can say that's pretty accurate. I like how you were breaking it down online when you were saying like this is kind of where one issue starts and where another one ends. And it does feel like that because we're starting right in the middle of a story.
Yeah, so this one of the big inspirations for this comic or for this movie is All-Star Superman, which I'm holding up for those people who watch the video version. And that plays very much the same way. So like it starts off where Superman basically gets like this super radiation poisoning from the sun, and then we're following like that through line. But as the comic goes on, he's still doing Superman things. So he's bouncing around, helping people, doing things. And it's not so I think that's exactly how this movie plays out. Like, yeah, there's this big through line of, this criminating tape that comes out about his parents. By the way, let's kind of keep it softly spoiler free just for a little bit in case somebody accidentally is listening.
Sure.
Yeah. But over the course of that, he's still like living his life doing his Superman stuff while he's still kind of countering that and the overarching political things that are going on, which I think are handled quite well. What was your take on this?
Yeah. So yeah, I will say that I'm still at really liking this movie. I love his Superman. Let me just start off by saying that. I love Lois Lane. I love the group of characters in this. But something about the movie, I don't know if I could say I love it yet. I still feel like I'm there. I need to watch it maybe one more time, but I'm at a very high like for it. It does what it needs to do, right? I mean, it really gives you this inspiration, gives you hope. It introduces you to Superman. It introduces you into this world that feels so big and so expansive.
It's so alive, right? Like, doesn't this world, not to cut you off too much, but just when we walked out, one of the things we were just talking about is how me and my friends were saying like, man, this is the first like DCU movie, but for some reason it feels like the 20th MCU movie. Like it feels like this world has been going on for a while and we're just jumping into it without having to like start up with like, oh, metahumans are a thing. It's a whole weird thing.
It is. I think it could be a little jarring maybe for some people who are not into comic books.
Yeah.
Because like I think right after COVID, when I first started jumping back into comics after like years of not really reading them, it was like, okay, what's going on? And I had to do tons of research looking things up. Right. I don't think you need to do that for this movie, but I can say it's like it could be a little bit jarring. And the whole intro to Superman and his world are all done through text in the first couple minutes of the movie. And you're like, all right, cool. Like I'm cool with it because I know Superman. I've read All-Star Superman recently and I'm like, okay, like I get it. But yeah, I don't know if general audiences will be able to absorb it, but it wasn't too hard to follow. And I also love that the first teaser trailer we got was literally the first couple of minutes of this movie.
It really, they really did leave most of the trailers for the first half of the movie, so it wasn't spoiling like too many things in the end. I think the other thing that mainstream audiences might struggle with is the pacing because it felt so fast. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, this was a fast 2 hours, man. I was like, wait, what? I was like, wait. And then
but dense, like there's a lot in it too. It's not like it's going by, you know what I'm saying, empty.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's well paced, but it is a breakneck pace as well.
Right.
You are jumping around to different groups of characters. Again, I think it all works like you were saying with the through line of the story, but it is fast and there is a lot and they throw a lot at you very quickly. I think that maybe that's why it doesn't really give you time to digest certain things. And I think that part might be a reason why I might dock it like a point or two,
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's the thing for me, that and not developing Ultraman enough, which is something they said in the trailer. So I'm not spoiling anything yet, but I think that's key is that this movie's not going to hold your hand. if you don't know who Superman is, first of all, why are you going to a Superman movie? Like it really is not holding your hand. And if you're not open to a world with superheroes and just like embracing it, this movie might not be for you. But
It's true.
if you're a
Yeah, but
person who like us who keep up with things like that, this is the pacing you read comic books at. It like truly, I really go back to this. I kept imagining the covers of each of these comic books of
mhm.
like, oh, that's Superman walking through a portal right now. Like that's the 2 issue run where he's in this like other thing going on. Like you truly feel these single issues coming out every 2 weeks.
That's true. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking about. I mean, I'm definitely in that mode thinking about this now. But the
Mhm.
dad who takes their son to this, like,
Yeah.
this is the first time they've ever seen Superman, and so I was thinking about that person. And could a kid? I think a kid could follow this. I think he could understand
Yeah.
it. It allows that conversation to happen between a dad and a son, or like there's probably not moms or dads of people our age who don't know Superman, right? They know
Right.
Christopher Reeves, but yeah, I think there's a lot for a younger audience too, even if it's their first time watching a Superman
Yeah.
movie.
When talking to Jonathan, one of the things I'm hearing from him is like, it's so colorful, bright, funny. It had a lot of humor in it. James Gunn, of course.
Hmm.
And so your kid's gonna like not know the intricate parts of this, but they're still gonna enjoy the heck out of this movie because it's definitely made for kids in a lot of ways, and the story is made for adults. He said one of the things he said in a review that he wrote that'll be going up on our website pretty soon, is it was both nostalgia and somehow fresh. He couldn't figure out why, but it was like this is nostalgic and fresh, and he couldn't figure out what's balancing those two.
Yeah, I mean the nostalgia for me is because he is so gosh, gee golly,
Yeah,
dang,
I
oh
think you're right.
heck, it's like that to
Yeah,
me just feels old and timey. I don't know anybody, literally anybody that talks like that.
yeah,
But then you meet his parents and you kind of get it. And there's camp to this, right? Like
yeah.
this is probably one of the more campy superhero movies we've seen. Yeah, I mean, literally, if you look back at Superman 1 with Christopher Reeves, or even 2, you get a lot of that camp in there, and somewhat of Tim Burton's Batman as well.
I would not even say Tim Burton's Batman. I would say the Batman's that come after Tim Burton. I
Yeah,
was
you
feeling,
those.
yeah,
Yeah,
like if you were to think like Two-Face and the Riddler, like that's the camp we're at with this movie. As in like, oh, that's just oh, is it not Metallo? What's his name? Metamorpho? Gosh dang it,
Metamorpho.
like
Yeah,
that's just Metamorpho, like straight up out of a panel from a comic book. Like they
yeah.
didn't nerf him down. Like you'd expect in the MCU would do like, oh yeah, but he's like in normal form normally. Like he looks like a human normally, but then he does his abilities sometimes. No, they were just like, yeah, he's like 4 quadrants of different elements. He's just is that,
Mm,
and it's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
damn, they just straight up did it. His
yeah.
baby looks like the baby from the comics. They didn't try to make
Hmm.
him look more human. It's just ugly. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, baby, 100%. Yeah, I do love that aspect of it because for so long with the MCU, we've been shying away from like Falcon doesn't have wings, in the comics he had like
yeah,
literal bird wings. And this one, like Hawkgirl has the wings. Metamorpho
right,
just has the powers from the comics, right? And you're right. In MCU, they would have tried to like MCU it, like a
right.
toxic act, and like they would have tried to explain more of it. And this one is like, no, this is just what it is. And I do love and appreciate that. I think that there's camp even with the robots of it all. I know we get those from like All Star Superman, but they're super kind of over the top and cheesy, and you get the Alan Tudyk delivery with it. And it's
Oh
perfect.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, again, even the Justice Gang, which I really really liked. I
Yeah.
mean, we'll get into them individually, but I thought they were in some ways very campy, but also just throwing into all right because superheroes or metahumans have existed for 300 years, like now they're
Mhm.
privatized because we would do that in
Yeah,
our world. Like
exactly.
everything is a business, right? And even though they're doing good, they're still part of a large conglomerate. And that in itself kind of allows some cheesiness from them, I guess. And in a good way, like not in a bad cheese. I mean, I think there's just so much good classic camp in this movie.
But that's also some realism too, because the idea that, right, like you said, it just kind of, I think it came up pretty recently that they've been around for 300 years.
Hmm.
Um, and the idea that these guys would naturally just be like, oh, I'm putting everything forward to help out society. like good luck with that, right? That's not going to be really feasible. You can't pay for all the damages. So the
Mm,
idea that there is some corporate involvement makes sense. And then it also like when you think of the future of where this DC could be going, where the Justice Gang eventually might become the Justice Society or Justice League,
mm,
they're going to need a big financial backer like Mr. Bruce Wayne. That leads to a moment for Bruce to step in. And they're kind
mm.
of setting up this world that's ready to be fixed. And we're
Yeah.
coming into the time when it needs to be fixed. Not that it's not an amazing world already, because
No, I know what
this
you're
world is
saying
alive
though.
with metahumans. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but you're right. There seems to be this tipping point where it's like, our superheroes, are they going to be allowed to do what they need to do? Or, this movie plays very heavily into what the government thinks of superheroes, especially
Yeah.
independent ones like Superman. How does that come in when you're talking about borders? How does that deal with it when you're talking about, funds? Because they at one point they talk about how much the damages cost to the city. You're
Right.
like, who does pay for that kind of thing? The MCU kind of, they briefly touch on it with damage control, but then
Yeah.
it's like so
That's right.
quickly forgotten. And it's like,
Mhm.
there's still tons of damage in the MCU, but we're just glancing over the fact that like somebody is paying for this. Who? I have no idea. So
Right.
this one, it is balancing a lot in this movie, I will say, but I think it all falls on the broad and strong shoulders of a Mr. David Corenswet. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very curious to hear what you thought about him as his initial run for Superman.
Yeah, let's dig into the performances overall, but let's obviously start with David. He felt like to me the most Clark Kent of any Superman we've had in a long time.
Mm,
And like, uh, frankly, when people were saying like, "Oh yeah, this is like the animated Superman," I didn't quite get what they were meaning by that until
right.
that happened. And then they're like, "Oh yeah," because the animated Superman was very much Clark Kent first, and that's what this guy is too. It's like he's just a good old boy who's just like, "Hey, I got a dame at home that I love, and I said I love her. She hasn't said I love you back," kind of thing. And it's just like it's cute. He's Superman, but he's worried about this dog. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Oh my god, the dog scenes got me every time. I'm such a sucker. So
Yeah.
he's a bad boy, but he's a good boy. They're always good boys. Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he was a naughty dog. I was like,
Yeah, he
this
was.
this dog would drive me freaking insane. But back to Corn Sweat.
Sorry.
I yeah, I really, really like his Superman. But one thing that I noticed, and he does it, he's got like a couple scenes. I wish we got more of it. We don't get a lot of Clark. Like Clark is in there because that's who he
Right.
is, but also it's like we don't actually get a lot of scenes of him as Clark. And I thought that was a little bit of a bummer. Like I like seeing the juxtaposition of him being normal guy walking around, walking to the Daily Planet, and also like badass, tough, confident Superman. So I felt like there
Yeah.
should have been a little bit more of that. But I think you also get who he is because we get to see him with his parents. And so I think that does a lot of legwork of taking on that. This is who I am at my core moment. And so, but this guy, man, the emotion, the grounding. I know everybody keeps
Yes.
saying he's so human, but I honestly, what does it mean to be human, right? We feel things, we are conflicted, we are fallible, we are weak. And I think he shows all those things while still being the greatest, most powerful superhero on the planet. And like, how do
Yeah.
you balance those two? Very hard. I don't know if there's a lot of actors that could do it. I would still say I don't know if he's my favorite Superman on screen. I mean, time will tell, but I think, man, he brings this level of. I've never been able to connect to Superman, and Superman's never been my favorite superhero. I think
Okay.
because he is so overpowered. I don't love heroes who can just do anything, and it's like there's no weakness to him. At every moment, there felt like he needed someone else. And I mean that in a good way. And not that he couldn't fight the fights without people, but he needed a supporting cast of like emotional support. He needed a team to like do things while he was busy defending the city. I just love that there was actual room for a team to support him and
Yeah.
it made sense. And also just like I connected with him as a human more than I've ever with any live action portrayal. I love that about this Superman.
Yeah, and we're going full spoilers, guys. So just kind of, if you're not in for that, thank you for joining us for 15 minutes. But um, he says something at the end of Lex Luthor, who says like, "You're an alien." Like he's just like, "How dare you come here and you're weakening us by not letting us defend ourselves." We all, and I love Lex how he has like this altruism about it, but it's like that motherfucker's got a plan. He wants to sell these like machines and stuff like that. So there's always something with him.
Right.
But right away, Superman shoots right back and he's like, "That's where you get it wrong every time, Lex." And he says, basically kind of what you're saying. But one of the things he said I really liked was like, "I wake up and I'm afraid. I don't know what to do, but I just keep going." I'm like, that's human right there, man. That is human. And you've never heard a Superman say that before.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it's nice to, you know, maybe, I mean, the biggest criticism right now is this is woke. Like, I don't think this is woke. I think if you are understanding your emotions, I think that makes you strong. I think that makes you intelligent. And this is in some ways emotionally the most fragile and yet the strongest I've ever seen a Superman. And so you're right. I think it's nice. It's refreshing. I think it is a Superman for 2025. And I think he carries that through, but just truly at his being. Like, he wants to be a good person because he believed that originally his parents told him, you have to come there. You have to help this civilization move on. His real family, or the people who adopted him anyway, they were also like, be a good person. Just take one step forward. Just do the best you can. I'm proud of you. That part where the dad says, I'm proud of you, man, that got me. I almost like the waterworks almost started there. I was like, damn, the dad wasn't in the movie that long, but he made an impact. And I just think Corenswet just did this amazing job with that, with the action, and then with his relationship with Lois Lane too. When I first saw the clips of the trailer, I didn't really like it. I'll be honest. Like, I didn't like how they were arguing. I was like, how is she just like getting under his skin so easily? And then in the movie, to me, it makes so much better sense within context. Like, you're like, this, I would get frustrated too.
Oh, hell yeah. And what I loved about that scene is it shows both characters so well. Because first off, that scene, he is Superman, not Clark Kent, right? Like, he's actually still glasses are off. And with Lois aside, again, not since like 78 have we seen a Lois like this. That's like, well, I guess the animated one does it well. Like, she truly feels that she outperforms Superman conversationally, like toe to toe. Like, he's stronger, but I will outsmart this man. I will beat him in a debate, and that's what Clark Kent loves. He loves this woman so fiercely because of how fierce she is, and I just was like rooting for. And what casting? Gosh dang it, what's her name?
Rachel Brosnahan.
Rachel Brosnahan just nails it, in my opinion. I think she was born for this role. Yeah.
I think that's interesting because I think that there's aspects of Lois I like from all the different actors that have played her. You know, like the razzing and everything, you got to give it to the actress from Superman 1. There are aspects of the Tyler Hoechlin and the Bitsy Tulloch we just talked about, Superman and Lois. There's aspects of her, because I've spent so much time with that Lois, because I've watched all the seasons. There's aspects of her I truly do love now. I didn't see her as Lois Lane before, but there's things she does in that show where you're like, oh, that's super Lois. And it's very independent of Superman. But this is a Lois, Rachel Brosnahan's version, that is toe to toe with Superman, that will take up as much space as he will in a room, that feels like she will handle whatever throws her way. Like, she's almost emotionally sturdier than Superman in this movie. And I like that because it allows him to lean on her on that emotional side where it's like, I don't know if I can do this. You know, they're fighting somebody off in the distance. Like, they don't need me. I don't even know if I'm helpful here. And she's like, no, you go be you. You are amazing. And I think everybody wants a partner like that like pushes you to be better.
Yeah, I want to reiterate something real quick. There is like this lot of discourse that because he has emotions, whatever, he's weak and woke. This Superman's not weak at all. I would not say he's weak. He's definitely more human, as in that you relate to him more. And this version of this relationship is one of the few times where you see like, oh yeah, the two need each other. They're partners. And so it's not like, oh, she's just cute and I'm into her. No, it's like, hey, she keeps him grounded, just like his folks did. And just like that message he had from his first parents, which was such a crux. We'll get into that once we get into the story. But yeah, it was Butch Bradley Cooper. That was a nice little surprise.
Yeah, it's crazy. Somebody, I think New Rockstars predicted it was Bradley Cooper from like the one little like 1 second clip they're like, that sounds like Bradley Cooper. I was like, how the hell do you know that? Like,
Yeah.
all right. It turns out they're right. But I was like,
they were.
man, that's crazy. Yes, she's amazing. Jimmy Olsen, I think was kind of updated as far as I know
Yes, he
him in a lot of
was.
ways.
Yes.
Boy
Yeah.
had the juice. He had the swag.
Oh,
he
man.
had all the ladies after him, which I was like, dang, that is a change of Jimmy Olsen. What do you
Yeah.
think about, his portrayal?
What I liked about him is because I just watched, I see him a lot in Righteous Gemstones, and he is kind of just like the coolest of the brothers, in my opinion. And he's the one that rides dirt bikes and he's like the security guard stuff too. So to see like that aspect of him be brought forward into Jimmy, where he's just like, he's a player and he's more interested in being a journalist. But I mean, hey, if it'll help him, he'll honeypot his way to the top if he needs to. So it was really fun to kind of see him play with that role a little bit. I reflect back to the old days where Jimmy had his own comic book run. And it was always like Jimmy and his pal Superman, right? Superman would come in to save him, and he would kind of get into some scrapes. I don't know if this Jimmy would get into scrapes. I think he would kind of talk his way through it. He kind of feels like a low-level James Bond, in a way. So it was fun to watch him. He's a little player.
He did. He used his tricks at his disposal.
Yeah.
He didn't want to make the call he had to make, but it works for him. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, I liked it. He had some really good deliveries in this movie that provide some jokes. What is it? Skylar Gisondo. He's great. I liked it. Again, I feel like this was, there are aspects of him when you look at him, you're like, oh, that's classic Jimmy Olsen. But the way he acts is updated, kind of with that nostalgic modernization of him. I thought it was really good.
Yeah. Let's broaden out to, let's see, let's go to the Justice Gang. Nathan Fillion. What are your thoughts about him playing Guy Gardner and how he portrayed Guy Gardner?
I thought he did great. Yeah, I am not a Guy Gardner fan in the comics. I've always thought he is a POS. And
Nailed
I thought Nathan Fillion walked that line so perfectly from I'm kind of a douchebag and, you all suck, to kind of likable and is still doing the right thing sometimes.
Right.
I was like, all right, well done. Like, man, if you could do this good with Guy Gardner and kind of make me like him, I can't even imagine what they're going to do with Jon Stewart, with Hal Jordan. So he killed it.
Frankly, the fact that we're going to see him with those other two in was it Kyle Rayner, right? Is the third one? So like they are all going to have these distinct personalities, and it's like, okay, we're setting this one up pretty distinct already. And I do truly like it. One of the things that he said in an interview recently, Nathan Fillion, he said, the thing with Guy Gardner is when you're desperate and you need help the most, you call for a Green Lantern. But then Guy Gardner shows up, you're like, oh shit, well, of all the Green Lanterns, damn it. And so it's like, you got the help you need, but damn it, it's Guy Gardner. And so it's like, I was like, yep, you nailed it. That feels just about right on this one. And then they even called out the haircut too, which was fun. So that was good.
Exactly. You got to make a nod to it. And they did it in a good way. And then you move on. He was great. He was a great addition to this movie. How did you feel about the constructs?
I thought they were safe. I thought, because I know each one has a unique way of using their constructs. Do you know his unique way of making constructs?
Not really. No. I mean, I think it's very basic, but you're right. I mean, I thought it was interesting, the full look when you see it in the movie. Like, some of it, you're like, wow, this is kind of like a deeper green. Some of it looked incredible, like what we saw in the trailer with the hands going up and taking care of the army. And then there were some times where we're like, okay, that feels a little more CGI to me. But yes, they were very safe. I think it I mean, how can I complain? As a Green Lantern fan, it's going to be insane to see more of these constructs in the world, but safe, I think, is a good word.
I do like the one moment where he puts mittens on the guy, and he telling the hawk girl, he's like, did you see I put mittens on him? And it's like that little part of it was like, that's cool. The fight was fun. I like that. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of that, let's go into Hawk Girl. I thought Isabella Merced on top of the world, right? She's in everything right now. She's killing it. I thought she was the weakest out of the Justice Gang. I think there were some scenes, the way it was filmed, like it was a little jarring. But I feel like she is fairly accurate to what I remember from the Justice League cartoon.
Yeah.
I want to see more of her, but I know we're getting her in Peacemaker, so I'm like okay with that.
Mhm.
But I thought she was maybe the weakest out of the Justice Gang.
I would actually agree with you. I think Nathan Fillion was middle for me. She was the weakest, and we just need more time with her on screen. I
Mm.
think the version of her that's in Legends of Tomorrow is the best version, and so I'm hoping that with more time, and even in bringing in like her relationship with Hawkeye, no, Hawkman,
Yeah.
who's there? So
Yeah,
many
that's
names,
right.
guys. Their duo, like having to like repeat lives and stuff like that, is a fun duo. So hopefully we get that kind of brought into the future. This is just the
Yeah,
beginning. We have so much to come. It's crazy. It
we
feels so
do.
big though.
Yeah, and her backstory, depending on which one, we know this one is like Kendra Saunders, but it's like it is
Yeah,
so convoluted. Sometimes they're aliens, sometimes they are reborn from an Egyptian god.
that's my favorite one.
Sometimes,
Yeah,
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 right. Like they come
yeah,
from different planets. So it's like there's so many different iterations. I don't know how they're gonna go, but I would like to have more of her backstory solidified. And so hopefully we get that in the future. But
yeah.
I think that brings us to the most terrific, the
Holy cow!
Mr. Terrific. Eddie Gathegi absolutely stole the show for me in this movie. He was such a cool character. What'd you think?
Let's jump right to it. You and me both want to talk about it. That scene where he gets onto that little military base and is walking through, and just, I mean, I'm sorry, guys. Look, I've read a lot of DC comics. I've never thought Mr. Terrific was cool. He's like,
Mm.
he's a tech guy, cool, all right. But he's got these like, the spheres. Holy cow! When he was just like jumping around, like controlling the spheres around, which right away I was like, oh, James Gunn knows how to use those arrows like he does in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
felt
like
very much
Yondu's.
like that. Oh,
Yeah,
he was
like
showing off. This was totally James Gunn having fun with visuals. Yeah.
oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. It felt like one of those scenes that we see Yondu who's like whistling the
Yep.
arrow and just taking everybody out. This was that 100%. The motions and everything with the hand, the way that
Yeah.
the T-spheres kind of put up walls or holograms. It was so perfect. But also
Mhm.
Eddie Gathegi's delivery on everything was so cool, was so
Yeah.
calm, was so, I am the smartest guy in the room. I don't need you. That was great. I didn't think of him being on par in some ways with Superman. And he definitely holds his own in some rooms as well. I'm like, damn, this
Yeah.
is a insane portrayal. I've liked Mr. Terrific. He's never been my favorite character, but like I think he's gonna instantly shoot up to the top of the list for so many people.
Yeah. I my most familiar interactions with him is with the Arrow series. He's in the Arrow series.
Oh, okay. I think that was
Um,
when he might have been the weakest.
Probably.
Like
Yeah. Frankly.
yeah.
Yeah. I want to throw this out there. Now, I might be just totally off kilter with this, so but do you think that his performance was of a neurodivergent version of Mr. Terrific, which I think would be very interesting for them to try to take that into a superhero? I like that idea.
Yeah. Possibly. I mean, I just took it as this guy is so smart that he can't really relate to anybody.
Could be. Okay. Yeah, could
Also, if we know his origin, like he has a pretty traumatic start that makes
yeah.
him Mr. Terrific. I mean, outside of it, like he's still smart. He's always going to be a genius. He's always going to be decathlete level athlete. But it's like, I just think he knows he's kind of better than people. And so he
Okay.
tries to temper that with like, I should probably help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So possibly though.
Yeah, I have never. We've told me, hey Frank, when you go into this movie, you're gonna walk out wanting to know more about Mr. Terrific. Never would have thought that was the case. And now I'm like,
Right.
all right, I'm gonna have to pick up some Mr. Terrific books. This is crazy. He
Mm-hmm.
is cool as hell.
It
Yeah.
is so cool. Those T-spheres. I'm always like, I love the nerdy guys in the science bro. I was like a Blue Ranger
Yeah.
fan growing up. I
Oh, wow.
was a like Leonardo for a while, then Raph, then Donatello. But like Donatello was always up there for me. And obviously we're getting Mr. Fantastic. But I like the people who have to use their intelligence. I mean, we had this conversation while we were going through Ironheart. But then also to combine it with his physical prowess and ability was just like, man, dude was badass. Absolutely.
So going through the cast, I think next we'll touch on Lex Luthor, but also I don't want to go too long in the tooth. So I think because we're already at 30 minutes, we'll go Lex, and then we'll just kind of like, is there anybody in specific you want to call out? But Lex Luthor, I just love Holt so much, especially from the show The Great on Hulu. He's fantastic at that, and I think with this one, he's very two layered, which we've seen in the past, where he's kind of like this sniveling bitch on top, and then like just mean genius on the bottom. And I think this version of Lex kind of bounces those two back and forth. He bounces back and forth. we see him crack and become the other version, and then he goes back to being like, oh, I'm the surface level character. I want to see more of him, but there were definitely moments, especially at the end, where I was like, this is a good Lex. It just kind of waned here and there, I'll say.
Yeah. 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 To your point, love Nicholas Hoult. Think he's a fantastic actor. Seen him in some amazing things. His Lex didn't hit for me all the time.
Okay.
It was one of the parts of the movie that I was a little bit bummed about. I think he was so calculating. The first fight with Superman with the hammer Bravia was so cool and well done and smart. It was like what we thought the Civil War fight would be like with Iron Man and Captain America. It's a little bit of a taste of that, but just expanded. I love that where he knows all of Superman's moves, but some of his delivery sometimes it just didn't hit that hard for me. And that was a little bit of a bummer. So I think we need to see more of him. But I think when he was being petty was one of my favorites. It was when he was trying to be the smart guy in the room with all of the military and the government officials and stuff. It didn't work for me.
That didn't work for me either, but I really liked the part you were talking about. I liked at the end when he was starting to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah.
I think he was trying to pull inspiration from Gene Hackman a lot. Did you get that vibe at all? Especially with the girlfriend in the room. I mean, that was kind of setting it up too. I was like, oh, that's Gene Hackman for sure. You know?
Yeah. Right. And I love the Gene Hackman performance, but that was of a time, right? And Hackman made a choice because he thought it was going to be a silly role. Right. And I don't know. It was a little bit too, which is funny to say because I appreciate the emotions of Superman. I don't know. I felt like this was too emotional sometimes for Lex. Like when I think of Lex, I feel more cold, calculating, a little bit more stoic, a little bit like I've already thought 5 steps ahead of you. So I don't need to get angry about this. Like I figured you beat me here, so I'm going to beat you with this next move. But I didn't get that.
Yeah, he did drop that line. Like I'm starting the war in whatever. I can't remember the name. Bravia. I'm starting the war in Bravia. Not like he said. Like I'm not trying to stop you so I can get that war going. I'm trying to get that war going so I could stop you. I was like, oh, you need to explain more of that because that is Lex Luthor to do something like that. But he doesn't explain it fully. But there was definitely, we need more of him. There's definitely some moments where you're like, okay, it's there. It's just got to kind of formulate a little bit. I think it's got to be.
Absolutely. There's room to grow with this character, 100%.
Yeah. Is there anybody in particular you think should have been improved or was a quick little spotlight you want to shout out before we move forward?
Yeah, last spotlight, I'm going to go with Metamorpho. I thought really well done. Such a weird character. Another one where I'm like, I don't really know his comic book history, but what they showed us on screen was wild. And I think Anthony Carrigan is a pretty damn good choice. I mean, he was acting in this movie despite all the makeup and the contacts, everything. I was like, wow, this is great. He's killing
so
it.
Good in Barry. Have you seen Barry on HBO?
Yeah, but only up to like the middle of the second season. I kind of fell off of it.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, he's fun, and as soon as you're waiting for him to open his mouth so he can really start doing his acting. But yeah, he was a fun one to follow. Ultraman, I felt short. They knowing what was. By the way, I put out a thread a while back calling out that it was Ultraman, and everybody was like, "No, that's Ultraman. That's not Ultraman." Blah 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 blah, saying I was wrong. And I said, if that's not Ultraman, I will pay for someone's year of Superman books. Guess what I'm not doing? That is Ultraman, baby. And it is as accurate as you could possibly get, frankly. So I thought, like, he's such a big character. He probably should have his own movie, not just be a throwaway character in this movie. Do you think he's coming back?
Yeah, I mean, he got sucked into a black hole, so it's like very possible he's coming back. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was... I mean, it was cool seeing them fight. I mean, seeing how he was kind of like this mindless drone, what I thought was a unique spin on the character. But yeah, development wise was a little weak. I think that they could have done more with that. It was, the rumor was going around that it would be Henry Cavill, and then it was. I'm so
I heard
happy
that rumor as well, which would have been fun, but not good.
I think that would have been a disservice to the movie. Like, I think it would have taken all the spotlight off Corenswet and his new iteration of Superman. So right out the gate, allowing David Corenswet to play almost like 3 different characters, I think is really strong. And I think he did a good job with all of them. But it was okay. He was just the muscle of Lex, and I'm okay with him being that. Ooh, we didn't even talk about the engineer.
Character. The engineer, but But Ultraman is such a bigger character. Like he has his own comic book run sometimes, with the Crime Syndicate and stuff. So hopefully they do revisit that. I think the reason they made him so stupid in this movie, damn near mindless, is because, and specifically the clone and not just another dimension. I think, or another Earth. I think they're gonna make him Bizarro next. I think they're gonna say like, oh, he got fucked up in the black portal or black hole,
Right.
comes out messed up and tries to create his own perfect utopia here on Metropolis. So I think they're gonna do
100%. Yep. Yeah. When I saw how he was taken out, I was like, oh yeah, he's coming back as Bizarro for sure, which is great, which is awesome. Yeah, I'll take that explanation.
Engineer. What a freaking glow up for that character, right? I'm working on the engineer thing, and I'm like, there's just not a lot to this character, frankly. But man, they make her cool. That's awesome.
Oh my God. The nanites, absolutely. And that part where one time she's like standing on her hands, and because of how she can morph her body is now standing up. That was so sick.
That was wild, dude. I was like, oh shit, that was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. She was great. I mean, fantastically. What is it? Maria Gabriela De Faria. Like she was awesome. Yeah. She killed it. I really thought that was a cool character, and it actually makes me excited for the Authority, who I have no idea who they are.
Yeah, and you know what? It's nice to have like kryptonite not be the thing. There was kryptonite in this movie. There was kind of a situation with it. It wasn't like actual kryptonite. You know what it is. But I always like when they find new ways to try to kill Superman, and the idea of just like take the oxygen out of his lungs was so brutal. Where I was like, kind of getting the anxiety when I'm watching this, like, he's gonna be fine, but still you're like, oh my God, that sounds terrible, and just like trying to get that stuff off your face. It just reminds you like walking into a spider's web or whatever, like no. And I didn't know what his plan was either. So when I'm watching him do this, where he flies into the air, then comes back down, I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, I'm almost trying to figure it out alongside Lex at the same time. Like, what's his game plan here? And then when it happens, you're like, oh, you don't need to stop the nanites. You need to stop the person controlling the nanites. And it was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And what a classic Superman move. Oh, she's still alive. She's still beating. It's like, okay, he didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
What a classic.
Yeah. I know. That was good. Yeah. The fights with him and her and Ultraman, I think were some of my favorites. Yeah. Number one spot has to go to Mr. Terrific, but then that was a pretty close second.
That was pretty dope.
She was super cool. Definitely.
Yeah. Made tech, both cases, made tech as cool as superpowers. Oh, wild. Yeah.
Oh, well said. Definitely.
I do that every so often. All right. We have thoroughly gone through performances. I want to go through story, tone, and style. I think the story for this thing, like I said, breakneck speeds. It really does truly feel like you go into a comic book shop, grab 10, 20 issues in the middle of one of Superman runs, and just like, oh, okay, Mr. Terrific popped in for a while here. That's fine. Oh, hey, look, there's a Peacekeeper thing on TV. That's awesome. It was really cool. So I think that's gonna be hard for people to get used to, but I was on board for it. Did Christina watch this with you? No, not yet, huh?
Nope.
That's right.
Nope. Yeah. Went with some other friends, which is great. Yes, the world is lived in. We're seeing cameos from actors we already know. I thought that was super fun. Seeing Baravia, seeing Jahanpur, seeing Metropolis, all of that was just well done, man. It felt like this world, it just has so much room to expand. And also the fact that like a monster can just pop up in the city. I mean, people, I was like, why are people not evacuating sooner? Because there's no way in hell I would have been like a couple miles within the space of that monster. But the setting and this world already was like, damn, this is well done.
On that note, social media plays a very big part in this movie. Both, yes, people were not fleeing as much as they would normally do in a movie like this because they're like, oh, I got to get this for TikTok. And also, it was like make or break for Superman's career kind of thing, too. Like, it was cool to see that modernization. I want to touch in on one of the real quick, the cinematic things. Every time Superman was doing a hero pose or saying a really good speech, the sun was behind him. And I even leaned over to Jonathan, like, see how the sun's behind him again? See how the sun's behind him again? Like, that was just like, that's some like Tom King shit. I could almost feel he's the one that said to do that. And so, and when she did get a special thanks at the end, I was like, yes.
He did, yeah. Oh, man, that's awesome. Yeah, him, Jim Lee, I'm sure... I think that special thanks at the end was like the council that James Gunn talked about.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, when he came over. So I thought that was beautiful. Like there was just some shots in it where you're like, this is so comic book accurate. And Yeah, it's just like this could be that panel where you're like, you know, the 2-page spread. And
Yep.
yeah, they nailed
Kept
it.
getting those moments in this. Kept getting those moments.
Oh,
So
yeah.
let's wrap this up with our score out of 5. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I want to give it almost higher. Like it's in between 2 points for me, but we don't do that. So it's like,
Yeah.
I'm right at a 4. And that's not a shade on the movie. Like I really liked it, as I said, but it's like, again, I don't know if I love it yet. I just know I'm really like it, and I know I need to see it again ASAP.
I'm seeing it again on Thursday. I too, I do the thing where I write my review while I'm driving home and stuff like that. And I had Jonathan do the same thing so I can get a second opinion on this. And truly, we were all sitting around like, is this a 9? No, let's put it at an 8. So for our situation to be a 4. But I mean, it was really close to being that 4.5. And you're like, I just had so much fun. And it's like, it was so fun. And I really want somebody to go that's not a Superman fan or a comic book reader specifically and hear their take. Because I think they might get lost in the weeds on this. But for those of us who are like, that is so just like, oh shit, okay, yeah, we're in the middle of the Hellfire Gala, gotcha, and just get into it, you know?
yeah. The one thing I'll say to that too is this feels, and maybe in some ways it's a positive, in some ways it might be a little bit of a hindrance, but this is such a James Gunn movie. Like James Gunn,
yeah.
There are some times where there's just jokes in there where I kind of wish there wasn't. The dog, I love the dog. It's like he's just adorable. They killed it. There's some times where it was like, this is too jokey right now. I kind of wish it was, they just let it be a little bit more emotionally resonant. But also like this, the music cues you in, like this is a James Gunn movie, even giving his own band a shout out. But I think while that's a positive, I think it can also maybe be a little bit hindrance for those of us who know James Gunn's signature very well.
You saw it a lot in this thing. We talked about that, like the arrow moves and stuff. You definitely know that this was made by James Gunn. There was no doubt in my mind when watching this.
Right. Yep.
So guys, obviously this is an early review and we want to hear your guys' take on this. We know it's coming out for everybody on Thursday. Please let us know on social media and let us know what you guys thought about Superman. And we'll look forward to the next one. All right, everybody, have yourself a great week. Bye.
All right. Aloha.